let's get to our buddies up in the Northeast, and probably the least surprised. Now, remember, the Patriots came into this draft with 12 picks, mostly in the latter rounds. They traded out of the first, so they accrued another one. And then the least surprising pick of all time, out of Lenore Ryan, a Division II school. You talked about this kid yesterday on the Lombardi line. Kyle Duggar, the safety, big kid here.
Yeah, and I think the fact that really probably was very appealing to Coach Belichick was the fact he's a really good return guy. I mean, he's a return man, so they get 4 downs out of him. They get a big physical player who can kind of play in the middle of the field. He could perhaps replace Patrick Chung in time as they grow and teach him the system. But then they get the value of him playing in the kicking game. He'll be a huge player in the kicking game, returning on kickoff. They get a ton of plays with him. He's a big physical guy who has huge upside. And I think when you got into that 22nd pick in the draft this year, it really became about projections. It came about who had the most upside of anybody. And I think that when you take a kid like this Duger kid from small school Lenore Ryan and you've worked him out, he's got incredible athletic skills, 42 vertical jump, he's big, he's fast, he's strong. You've got to be, he's got huge upside at a position. Now, if he was just a safety and didn't have the return, I'm not sure they would have taken him. I'm not sure. But I think what the Patriots tried to do was they tried to move back at that 2. Then they tried to take their 3rd-round picks and try to help themselves and move up. So now what we've seen at the end of the day here is they got 2 outside linebackers, the kid from Michigan, the kid from Alabama. That certainly helps. It helped their kicking game. And then they get 2 tight ends that really help their tight end room. So now they've got 5 players, which is going to be perfect that they can really have added to their football team. They need to get an offensive lineman because you can't really go through a draft without drafting some form of offense or defensive lineman. You got to do it. And I think they'll be much better off for it.
Help us understand this now. You've been in a war room with Bill Belichick. Kyle Duggar, the safety out of a Division II school. First off, he's a big kid, and he looked like a freak athlete. But again, the comparison, he's playing against kids that aren't necessarily on a D1 level. So how do you scout that? How do you justify that as far as competition?
Well, I went to the Senior Bowl, so that's your best value, right? You got to see him in the Senior Bowl. And the college game is not about 100 tapes. It's about the right tape. It's not about watching every game. When these guys go on TV and they tell you they watched every single game on every player, like, stop. There's some games that are not worth watching. There's some games like I'm not going to watch Tua play against Mercy. Like, seriously, that's not fair. I'm not going to watch Alabama play Coastal Carolina. That's not fair. That's a different level. Whereas this kid goes to the Senior Bowl. It's why I think Herbert got drafted early. I think Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl has done a really good job, and these kids have taken the invitation to go down there and show that they can play at a higher level. Robert Hunt, the Louisiana Lafayette guard, went to those are the kind of things that help you enhance your game.